Top 10 tea producing countries in the world. Ever since it was first discovered in China in 2737 BC, tea was one of the most popular beverages across the world. Today, tea is cultivated all over the world, primarily in Asia and Africa. However, it's commercially produced by more than 60 countries. Here's a list of the top 10 tea producing countries in the world in 2021. It would seem by happy coincidence that the tea was first discovered, at least as the story goes, by Chinese Emperor Shen Nang, who first tasted the beverage when he and his soldiers were busy sheltering under a tree. Several wind-blown leaves fell into a pot of boiling water, which in turn infused into the water, and tea as a beverage became a reality. Whether or not this tale is a little tall doesn't really matter. Whether the truth of its origins, tea rapidly became a staple within Asian culture as a drink, a medical cure-all, and a symbolic part of religious rituals. Since the 10th century, tea has steadily spread along numerous trade routes through the Middle East and Himalaya into northern India, eventually reaching these shores by the 17th century via Holland. So let's travel a little and go on an international journey of tea discovery to find out who are the top 10 tea producing countries in the world. Number 1. China produces almost every year 24 lakh tons. Unsurprisingly, China is top of the charts as the spiritual homes of the humble Kappa and tops the list as the world's largest tea producing country. China produces some 40% of the world's tea, weighing in at 2.4 million tons. It's primarily grown in the provinces of Yunnan, Guangdong, and Zhejiang. While its biggest exporter and grower of tea, China produces some of the best teas out there, including Lapsang Souchong, Keeman, and green gunpowder. Number 2. India produces almost every year 9 lakh tons. 9 lakh tons are produced in India annually, making it world's second largest producer of tea, with the crop being grown in bulk across Darjeeling, Nilgiri, and Assam. The crop was first introduced commercially by the British in 1824 to compete with neighboring China's tea production monopoly. Number 3. Kenya produces almost every year 3,05,000 tons. The top tea producing country in Africa is Kenya, which harvests just under 3,05,000 tons of tea each year. Kenya claims the accolade of being the world's top black tea producing country, with teas grown in the Kericho region, the Nambene Hills, and Nandi. Tea was first introduced to Kenya in 1903 by G.W.L. Sain and fully commercialized by 1924 for Brook Bond by Malcolm Bell, who was sent out for that specific purpose. The venture worked. India was producing the most tea for over 100 years. Sri Lanka produces almost every year 3 lakh tons. Heading back to Asia and to Sri Lanka, which produces just under 3 lakh tons. Around 17% of the world's tea crop is grown in the central mountains. So teas like Dimbila, Kenilworth, and Uva are cultivated here, such as Ceylon. The British, in a bid to compete with China's tea production, introduced the crop in 1867, and ever since the country has produced some of the world's finest single origin teas. Number 5. Turkey produces almost every year 1,75,000 tons. At number 5 on our list, Turkey grows 1,75,000 tons of tea. Notably, they grow Riza, which is a tea from the region of the same name found on the Black Sea. Despite a relatively modest harvest, people in Turkey drink more tea per person than any other nation on the planet, which as Brits we find hard to believe. Number 6. Indonesia produces almost every year 1,57,000 tons. Indonesia produces 1,57,000 tons of tea annually. The crop was introduced in the 1700s by the Dutch East India Company during colonial rule, producing mostly black and green teas from Indian Assam varieties. The Indonesian climate allows these tea varieties to thrive. Number 7. Vietnam produces almost every year 1,17,000 tons. Heading across Asia, we find Vietnam, where the French introduced the crop to them during their period of colonial rule. Vietnam produces in their region of 1,17,000 tons of tea per year. Number 8. Bangladesh produces almost every year 96,510 tons. Tea production has expanded in Bangladesh over the past decade. About 96.51 million kgs were produced in 2021, up by some 54% from that in the old year. This is the highest amount produced in a year in the 167-year history of the region's commercial tea cultivation. Bangladesh is progressing in the tea industry along with other countries of the world. They produce tea in 3 valleys, namely Surma Valley, Halda Valley and Karata Valley. Now they are second in production in plains tea. Being close to Darjeeling, the quality of tea is very good and available at low price. Number 9. Japan. Japan produces around 89,000 tons of mostly green tea in the regions of Shizuoka, Kagoshima, and Uzi. Tea has enormous cultural significance in Japan. It's their most popular drink and is central to tea ceremonies. Tea may have been introduced to the islands as early as the 6th century by Buddhist monks. The drink quickly became aligned with religious ceremonies, with accounts of tea being served by Emperor Shomu to 100 monks. Number 10. Iran produces almost every year 84,000 tons. Heading across the Indian Ocean, we find ourselves in the Middle East, in the unluckily tea-producing country of Iran and the Caspian Sea region of Gilan, which produces just under 84,000 tons of tea. Tea first appeared as a drink in the region in the 15th century. Due to the trade along the famous Silk Road, and it quickly became popular. However, the crop was not grown in the country until 1899, when Prince Muhammad Mirza smuggled tea bushes from India into the city of Lahizan and began cultivating the crop, with the first modern tea factory being established in 1934. Friends then saw the top 10 tea producing countries, which meet the needs of all countries in the world. In addition to meeting the needs of their own country by exporting tea to other countries, it has contributed a lot to everywhere as a second drink. So we say salute to all those associated with the tea industry who fulfill the demand of tea in the world. Anyway, if you're watching from YouTube, then definitely subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon next to it. And if you're watching from Facebook, follow us and stay with us. Powered by Indigo Brokers Limited and Global Tea Auction.